Hey guys, Introspection here, and I'm back with another video. So today I wanted to do one of these reaction kind of videos. I've already seen this video, but I wanted to watch it with you guys and share my thoughts as we went through. Now, even if you haven't seen this video specifically, there's a pretty good chance you've seen videos from this channel. I want to say it's Dhar Mann. I've never actually heard it said out loud, but I think that's how you say it. Could be wrong though. In any case, there's a good chance you've seen these videos because they have a tendency to float around Instagram and Facebook. Personally, I do enjoy them. I know that they're really cheesy in the lessons, but I think a lot of the cheesy lessons are still really important, and I don't think we take them as seriously as we should sometimes. Now, I haven't seen every single video. I'm sure that if I went through every single video, because he has a ton of them, I could probably find a couple where I'm like, yeah, that's not a great lesson, or maybe it should be a little different, or man, that's a terrible lesson. But for the most part, all the ones I've seen thus far, I enjoyed. But the thing is, I've noticed that in a lot of the comments, I see what essentially is, I guess the best way to describe it, a lukewarm reaction. Basically, the comments in one way or another will say, well, it's a good moral, it's a good lesson, but it's terrible acting. And I don't think that's quite the case. I mean, I do have some notes for the actors to make them a fair bit better, but I really don't think it's terrible acting that's bringing it down. I think it's more the writing. And no, I'm not saying that the writer is incompetent or anything. I don't know who writes it. I'm assuming it's the guy who puts his face on the channel, but I could be wrong. He could hire somebody else. I don't know how he runs these things. Whoever it is, I'm not saying that they're terrible or anything. I think the main problem is that they really have a tendency to over-spell everything out, if that makes any sense. Basically what happens is that the writer has a tendency to make lines so that they explain things beyond how a normal person would talk. And this really kills the flow of the video. And that's, I think, what really kills it. And it's not like it's all terrible writing. It's just a few choice words, a few choice lines that really just snap the flow of the video. And I kind of want to go through it because I'm sure he will never ever see this video. But on the off chance he does, I do want to try to help him improve. I'm not saying that I'm the end-all be-all with this kind of advice, but on the off chance he sees it, I do want to help him try to tweak his videos a little bit, because I think he makes some really good lessons. I think he pushes some really good ideas, and I want to help him make it a little bit, just a little tweaks here and there to make it all the better. Because obviously these are much higher quality than my videos. From a technical standpoint, I think that they're fine. I mean, I'm not a big lighting guy. I know a little bit about lighting. I know a little bit about camera angles, but not very much. I am by no means an expert. You really probably don't want me to help you set up lighting and cameras or what have you. If somebody who was really technical saw this, somebody who really knows what they're doing, they could very well say, yeah, this is all terrible. But I think from a technical aspect, they're fine. So with all that said, let's go ahead and start the video.
And so I told her, you're fired.
Oh, hi. I'm so sorry we're late. We missed the bus and everything. And anyhow, here are the cookies you asked me to bring.
That's what you brought. They look so cheap. And where did you even buy those anyway?
Okay, so already you might start to get a small sense of what I'm talking about. She goes, they look so cheap. Where did you buy them anyway? Which is not totally left field from what a normal person would say. But it still personally doesn't sound quite right to me. I would want it replaced with something like, those don't look great. Where'd you get them anyway? Just something like that. Maybe not exactly that. And quick note for the actor, nothing bad or anything. I think a little bit more disgust and a little bit less surprise would have made a small improvement. Just a small note.
Well, I didn't buy them. My son and I, we baked them together. I baked and he decorated.
First you show up at my Christmas party late, and then you bring those. Well, it's a good thing I bought these. Each one is handmade by an award-winning pastry chef. They cost $10 a cookie.
Wow, those look delicious.
It's a good thing I didn't count on Jasmine and had a backup plan. How do you know her again? Her son and my son are friends, so I had to invite her.
Okay, so this is a classic case of just the smallest itty-bitty thing turning what could have been a really great scene. Man, I cannot say S's today for some reason. Whatever. It turned what could have been a great scene to a not-so-great scene. See, we have the protagonist sitting in the background there, and the antagonist whispering. Now, obviously, they're whispering because they want to portray the whole let's whisper or talk behind her back. But the thing is that the protagonist is closer to the antagonist than the antagonist is to the person she's whispering to. So very obviously, the protagonist is going to hear what she's saying. If they were trying to do the whole let's talk behind her back thing, just the smallest tweak of trying to walk toward an area where she might not hear, or walking closer to each other so that the whispering, or it might seem like the whispering would only be heard by those two people, or they're at least trying to hide it is essentially what I'm saying. Like they're showing some effort in trying to at least kind of get her to not listen in. But there's no way in this setup that she's not going to hear, because again, she's closer to the antagonist than the antagonist is to the person whispering. And if you're going to say, well, maybe they weren't trying to do the whole behind her back thing, that would have also been fine if they wanted to do the whole, well, she's talking about her badly, but she doesn't care because she doesn't value her, right? That would have been fine too, but then there wouldn't have been any point in whispering. So, again, just that small little tweak of maybe moving over or coming in closer would have made a world of difference.
All right, everyone, it's time for the white elephants. Let's start with number 1. Oh, that's me. I'll take this one. Smart choice. That one's from me. A crystal ornament. Wow, thank you so much, Karen.
This was a good call. I don't know who wrote this, but whoever made the main antagonist named Karen, that's good. The only thing, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. The only thing I'm not a fan of using the word Karen, it's not that I think it's a derogatory term or anything, nothing like that. Because I know that there are like legitimately good people whose names are Karen, who probably, especially children, I can see like a child being named Karen and then other kids picking on her because her name is Karen, even though she could potentially be a really, really great child. That's the only thing. But overall, because of the meme format nowadays, Karen being the main antagonist name, that was a good call, at least writing-wise.
Oh, it's Swarovski. I know we said $25 limit, but come on, who really followed that? Oh. I'm number 2. I choose...
Oh, maybe choose another one?
No, I already chose. Is this a handmade ornament? It looks like it costs less than $1. Let me guess. This one came from you.
Yeah, my son and I, we painted it together. It reminded me of when...
Where'd you get the materials? The 99-cent store?
If you don't like it, you could always trade it for...
No. I don't want anyone else to get stuck with this.
Okay, so another quick note for the actor. The writing here is fine, but on the actor's side, I think she's trying to be passive aggressive, but also aggressive, and I think that's kind of contradicting because I think the lines are passive aggressive, but her attitude is aggressive. Say it a little bit more like, "No, I don't want anybody else to get stuck with this." She's like really aggressive about those lines, and those lines do not sound like they're meant to be spoken aggressively. They're meant to be spoken passive aggressively.
Let's move on to number 3.
It's fine. Oh, really? So awesome.
Here you go, Richie.
I hope one of these has what I asked for.
Well, I know you're going to love them.
I'm gonna open them right now.
What's wrong, Max? Didn't your mother get you any gifts?
Oh. Well.
Here you go. I hope you like it.
Thanks, Mom! A picture frame?
Okay, so I know I said it's not really focused on the acting, but the children actors in particular, I can sense that they feel really awkward. I have a feeling that they're not particularly comfortable doing the whole acting thing. And I think that is something that just kind of has to be fixed with a little bit more experience, a little bit more time doing these kinds of things. So, you know, you kind of have to ease into it, because I can feel almost like he's speaking very tensely. Both of the child actors that we just saw, the one that was clearly the son of the antagonist and son of the protagonist, I think they're speaking very, like, with a lot of tension, essentially. So, my biggest advice to them is try to relax a little bit. It will make a huge improvement in your actual performance. Just ease up a little bit. As for the lines, I want to say that they're not great, but I'm trying to figure out, like, what would be a good, because not the mom or the antagonist, but on the child's side, because he kind of just like, oh, well, like, yeah, I think the lines are actually probably fine now that I think about it. He just needs to ease up a little bit more. He should have been like, well, see, and then, like, when he got the picture, right, he got the picture, and he said, oh, a picture frame? And then he says, what should have been, like, a little bit more is probably something along the lines of, oh, a picture frame? Or, something, actually, no, that sounded that sounded terrible. I'm trying to, because I'm kind of going off the cuff here, I'm trying to think how you would probably want to say these lines. Let me think. Probably something along the lines of a picture frame. Right? Something with a little less tension in it. Again, that's not great. I need a little time to figure out exactly how you want to say these lines. But I think mainly the problem here is the tension.
Thanks, Mom! A picture frame?
That's what you got him for Christmas? How cheap.
Okay, so I think the other thing is starting to sound a little repetitive. Like, she keeps going cheap, 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 cheap. And yes, that's exactly the point that they're trying to get across. She is looking down on the main protagonist because everything she's doing is cheap. That's the idea. But the problem here is that they're so intent on it that they're just really spelling it out for you. It probably should have gone more along the lines of, really? That's what you got your son? What kind of mother would have gotten their son such a terrible gift? Or if you wanted to use the word cheap, what kind of mom would have gotten such a low budget gift? What kind of mom would... Something along those lines. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly that. But you're kind of like really forcing to spell it out for the person, as opposed to just saying it, because most of us can probably still understand what the lesson is, even if you don't spell it out quite this much, and would have seemed a lot more natural. The video would have seemed like it flowed a lot better.
I know it's not much, honey, but I hope you like it.
Like it? I love it! Thanks, Mom. I'll put this next to my bed.
Max, you don't have to lie. You can tell her you hate it. I mean, what kind of a mother spends $5 on their son's Christmas present?
Okay, another quick note for the actor. You kind of have to have the laugh down. Like, you have to be able to do a convincing laugh. If I'm being honest with you, I can't really do a convincing laugh like that. Or, not like that. But I can't do a convincing laugh. If you can't do a convincing laugh, then it just really degrades the quality of what you're trying to portray. And again, I don't blame you for not being able to do it, because I can't do it. But if you can't do it, what you might have wanted to replace it with is maybe like a very egotistical chuckle, I guess, like, huh, really? Or like, huh, really? Something to that effect, because like going, ha 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 ha, it just seems so forced. It seems very fake, and it really, really breaks down the flow of what you're trying to go for.
Honey, would you mind giving us a moment?
Oh no, not another ad. Please, not another ad.
You know, I don't think you understand what the holidays are about. You see, I may not be able to afford fancy cookies from an award-winning chef, but my son and I put a lot of love into the cookies we made, and that is what matters. And I may not be able to buy expensive things for the White Elephant Exchange, but I put a lot of time into decorating that ornament with my son. And to me, that means a lot more. And I may not be able to afford a lot of Christmas presents for my son, but I teach him to be grateful for everything that he gets, no matter the cost. And that matters more than anything. So you see, the holidays are not about how much you spend. They are about how much love you give.
Okay. That whole monologue was almost great, but it was ruined by, again, like, it's just these tiny little things. Go back, see here. And I go, it was just this one line. Just this one line.
You see,
going you see is something you'd say to somebody who you were trying to explain to, but it was like it's almost like something you'd say if the person you were explaining it to was like willing or asking you to explain it to them. So like, let's say I was explaining a machine. I'd go, you see, this part does this and this part does that. But in this sense, when she's trying to essentially stand up to the main antagonist, this one line, you see, I feel, just completely snaps the flow of the video. It just kills the momentum that she was building up to this point. Because like the rest of the monologue was fine. If I was talking to this writer, I'd say, look, the monologue, great, it works fantastically, but this one line, these two words you see, just kills it. I would replace it with something more like, let me tell you something, or let me get one thing straight. Something like that, because that's what you say when you're about to stand up to somebody. That's what you say when you're about to really bring it home. You see, at least in the way she's using it, is more like if I was explaining it to somebody who I wasn't really fighting with. So the way she uses it just, again, kills it. And then the thing is that, go on about here. No, not here.
So you see.
And then she uses it again. And then the other problem here is that it becomes a little repetitive. It doesn't seem like it because she only uses it twice. But it's, again, just a small thing. The fact that she uses it at the beginning and then at the end. You see. You guys don't know this because you haven't seen me try to make a video for obvious reasons. But I have a tendency to do this. Like, I will start talking and then I'll realize I say the same word way too much. Like, I'll go, see, and then I'll explain, and then see, and then I'll explain, and then see. I'm like, darn it. So I'll have to delete the whole thing and start over again because it's a little repetitive. And maybe you might think, well, yeah, you're being a little technical. I know it seems like that, but it's one of those things that it's going to annoy other viewers, at least a couple of them, and they might not even be able to put their hand or their finger on what it is exactly that's driving them bonkers. Well, they might now that I'm pointing it out. But most of the time they won't be able to because they're not really looking into it. But this is one of the things that's going to drive people nuts, even if they don't necessarily realize it. So, again, just replacing these few words would make this whole thing flow a ton better.
The holidays are not about how much you spend. They are about how much love you give.
Wow. That sounds like something a poor person would say.
Again, the laugh. You really need to know what you're doing if you're going to pull off that laugh. Because if you don't, as you can see here, it does not come out well. It's a lot hard. I cannot believe how many times I keep repeating words. But it's a lot harder to pull off than it looks. Like, go ahead and try it. If you're not really practiced at it, there's a good chance that you're not going to be able to pull it off first try. It does take some practice to be able to do a very convincing laugh. So again, maybe replace the laugh with like a chuckle or a smirk, because those are a lot easier to pull off in comparison. It would just, again, whole flow.
You clearly have no idea what the holidays are about.
These cookies are so good. They're my favorite. Yeah, are there any more?
I'm so glad that you like them. I tell you what,
Again, the children actors, I don't want to say they're bad or anything, but they seem like they're very tense. If I had to guess, I could be wrong, if I had to guess, I don't think any of the children actors here are terribly experienced. Because, again, they just seem so tense. Like, the way he delivered that line was just way too, like, monotone almost monotone. And he's going to continue doing it with his few lines following this. So again, try to relax a little bit. That is the main problem a lot of actors have, is that they cannot relax. Once you relax, it is so much more convincing when you deliver your lines. When you relax, your speech patterns become a lot more realistic. So, that's the main thing, because he's like, these cookies are great, as opposed, these cookies are amazing, man! These cookies are great! Right? There's a little bit more variation if you say it, like, normally. Because what happens is that, like, people become, again, I'm repeating myself, people become monotone when they... Okay, so, again, I think what's happening here is that these kids are super tense, especially the second one. And what it's doing is that it's making their speech patterns sound almost monotone. Not quite, but almost. Because the first kid says, these cookies are my favorite, which is not bad. But then the second kid says, do you have any more? And it sounds almost monotone. It should sound a little bit more like, do you have any more? Something along those lines. At least a little bit more variation. And again, I can't stress this enough. I think that they just need to relax. If I had to guess, I don't think these kids are terribly experienced in the spotlight. So it's pretty understandable. Relaxing is one of the biggest problems in acting, especially when you first start. But once you learn how to relax, once you learn how to ease up, your speech pattern becomes more normal, your performance becomes so much more believable because you have so much more ability to properly portray the emotions you're trying to when your body's relaxed, and you have a lot more control over it. And you have a lot more control over your speech pattern, you have a lot more control over your demeanor, so on and so forth. So, again, my advice to these kids, if my guess is correct, because I'd have to, like, physically talk to them and be on one-on-one just to be sure, but I'm guessing they just need to relax.
I tell you what, I can make more and send them to you.
Did you try the ones that I bought over there?
Those are gross.
Yeah, no one's eating those. I want more of these.
Excuse me, Karen? Do you still have that handmade ornament by chance?
Yes. Why?
Is it possible to trade you, actually? That one reminds me of my childhood. My mom used to make ones just like that for our tree.
Really? You would rather have some cheap handmade ornament than a crystal one? Oh. Whatever. Here.
Thanks so much.
I can't believe this.
What's wrong, sweetheart?
You didn't give me the new PS5.
Well, I figured since you had the PS4, you didn't need the 5. You've got all those other great gifts.
Okay, so I'm about to go on to another tangent, but before I do, I just want to make sure you guys know, this is not me saying that you should just get the PS5 because their child asked for it. This is not me saying that every child deserves a PS5 no matter what, okay? I just think this is a good opportunity to explain to parents what the difference is in case they're considering purchasing a PS5. Very, very quickly, don't worry, I'm going to go through this very quickly. Basically, it's very different from when you upgrade a cell phone. When you upgrade a cell phone, generally speaking, it's just going to do the things that your old cell phone does, but better, right? Ultimately, you're probably fine even if you don't upgrade. With the PS5, on the other hand, there are games on the PS5 that the PS4 will not play no matter what. And there are features, which I could go over for half an hour about the PS5, that, again, the PS4 just does not have. So I'm not going to get into it very, very much because that's going to take like half an hour. But just know that there is a significant difference. Maybe I'll make a whole video about it if somebody asks.
I don't care about all the other stupid gifts. I wanted a PS5.
I'm sorry, honey. I will get you one as soon as I can.
This is seriously the worst Christmas ever. I hate you.
Okay, so I actually want to give props to the actor here. Most people probably won't notice this because by this point, the flow of the video and their attention have been broken up so many times that they're really not engaged with the video. But if you're still with me, you'll notice that her face, just when he says, "I hate you," was great. Look.
Ever. I hate you.
See, that face, her demeanor, really tells you that hit hard. Because when a mother is told, "I hate you," by her son, and she's a good mother, that should really hurt. And that's exactly what she's portraying here. And you might think, oh, she's not even saying anything. How hard could it be to do this? Well, look, sometimes the biggest moments during a video or a skit or a movie or whatever is the moments where nobody's speaking and you have to rely solely on the demeanor and the face to portray emotion and to really deliver what the actor or the character's feeling to the viewer.
Here's some advice. It's not about how much money you spend. It's about how much love that you give. It was nice to see you, Karen.
Thanks again, Mom. I love you so much.
if you really love our content, then make sure you're subscribed to my channel by clicking the button below. And if you want to get to know me more personally, I also have a family vlog. The link to watch that and subscribe is also right next to it. And lastly, I also have another video that I think you'll love. You can click right here if you want to watch it. Thanks, and I'll see you.
Okay, so yeah, that ends up being the entire video. Okay, so just a couple notes to wrap everything up. Actors, please don't take this as me saying you are terrible or horrible or anything of the sort. I just think you need to focus a little bit more on what your character's intent is. Like going back to that scene where the antagonist was like, no, I don't want anyone else to deal with it, or something like that. I can't remember what the exact line was. But there, again, the lines were good, the emotion was good. The problem was that it wasn't quite the right emotion. Again, it was a little bit more aggressive when I think it needed to be a little bit more passive-aggressive. Children actors, I think your problem is that you're tense. Again, I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to you one-on-one, but my guess is that you're a little tense. You just relax a little bit. Try to speak a little bit more like how you normally speak. Trust me, once you get... I know that that's hard to do, but once you nail that down, it will sound so much better, and acting overall becomes so much easier. And the writing, again, not terrible. It's just that these key things, these tiny little things, just destroy the momentum, and you have to keep it going throughout the whole video. Otherwise, again, you just lose the audience. And you might see this video, just even the people just generally watching it, you might see this video and think, oh, well, he's being super technical. Nobody's going to notice this. Look, I get it. You're really not going to notice this unless you're hyper-analyzing the video like I am right now. But the thing is these small things that really affect somebody's judgment of the video. Even if they can't place their finger on exactly what it is that is bad, they still know that they don't like it. Like, if you see a lot of the comments to movies and TV shows and stuff, they really don't give you a lot of specifics. They just kind of go, well, it's bad because it had bad writing or had bad acting, and you'd be like, what's bad about the acting? What's bad about the writing? They'll have no clue. They'll just be like, you know, it was written badly. They have no clue what words could have been said different. They have no clue what could have been acted different, how the emotions could have been changed. They don't, because not because they're idiots or anything like that. It's because they're not really hyper-analyzing videos. They're not really hyper-analyzing movies. But even though they're not hyper-analyzing it, they still know that there's something off about the acting or the writing or whatever. And that just affect even people who are not hyper-analyzing it. That's the main thing that will affect how much they enjoy it. It's these small little, these tiny little things that make that huge difference. So, yes, I know it seems like I'm being super technical about it. And I am, but that's because these technicalities really affect the overall quality of whatever you're doing, regardless as to whether it's a skit, movie, video, whatever. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had fun making it. If you have any other ideas to how these videos could be improved, or if you maybe disagree with me, go ahead and leave it down in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next 2 weeks, and until then, hear nothing and listen to all. Bye, guys!